very interesting. I mean, let's just see how much lag
Is
there
there,
is. So,
can you hear
okay,
me now? I mean, it
I can
seems
hear
okay
you.
right now. Like
Okay,
we're
when I
not
say
lagging like before.
okay, when you hear me say one, you say one.
Okay.
One.
One.
Man, that was like at least 2 seconds, if not 3 seconds.
Oh, really? Because I heard it. Okay, yeah. Okay. Then I guess there's two
I'll,
seconds.
let's do it again. Okay, so when I say one, you
When we play it back to check, it'll be interesting.
yeah, like one. Oh man, that was 2 seconds. Okay, so when I say one, you say one, okay?
Okay.
One.
One.
Oh, that was about 2 seconds. I think it's a little bit
Okay.
better now. Not
Two is
so.
okay, man. What were
Yeah, I
you
think it's
saying
okay.
before it got cut, though?
Mm.
Goblet of Fire.
Oh yes, Goblet of
Um,
Fire. Yeah, it took me. I started reading that on June 29th, and it took me until July 4th to read it. So it took me, yeah, 3 or 5, almost 4 or 5 days. It was a thick book.
yeah, it's a big book, man.
It's a
If
big
that
book.
book falls on your head, it might hurt.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I only read it on my Kindle, so I actually,
Okay.
yeah, I don't like having a lot of, like collecting a lot of things,
Yeah,
unless they're digital. Even still,
bro.
so books, yeah.
You know how you said, what was the name of that other title? Reading for
The
the one you
pleasures of
just.
reading yeah, the pleasures of reading in an age of distraction.
Yeah, so the one thing that I do these days is, or at least for the past few years now, is like I don't read any books, bro. Like, but I get through them because I do it through audiobooks,
Oh yes, yes, yes.
you know? So I've stopped
Hmm.
reading books, like physical books. Like I have a evolutionary psychology like textbook, like a first year thing
Hmm.
that was good. Like I read that occasionally, but I don't
Hmm.
really
No,
do
you
that.
don't. No, you don't pick up a book and go like cover to cover.
No, I find also like nowadays, I have either ADD or maybe I probably had it then before, but I didn't know that I had an audiobook option before. You know, when I'm a kid, I thought there was no option.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But now I find like when I read it, I get tired, or I what I tend to do is I tend to read the same paragraphs over and over again, like because I think it's like super significant and this will be important in another 3 pages, and like I gotta focus.
yeah,
So that'll prevent me from getting quickly through the book when I realize like most of it is just nonsense and there's only like a few things here and there. But with
yeah.
the audiobook, I find because it just keeps going and I can go back if I want to, but usually I let it go. Then I really know that I didn't need to stop for this part for like and focus so much. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. With the audiobook, it keeps the pacing going, right? The pacing
Yeah.
is you pick up what it is, and then if anything, you can always just like listen to it again at maybe even 1.5 times speed or 1.25 times speed, and you
Oh, I
will
listen
get.
at that speed.
That's the default is 2x.
Yeah, that's the default. If I want to focus, I go down to 1x or 1.5. Really
Yeah,
slow
yeah,
down.
yeah. Otherwise, it's always two. Yeah. The thing that when I tried listening to audiobooks, because it's someone reading a book and it's not conversation, and I feel that with conversation it's easier to focus if someone is like if you and I are having a conversation, so the way we speak is not actually like written out prose. Written out
Hmm.
prose, there's a lot more in it. So if someone is just speaking through it, I feel that it's easier for me to miss what is going on. I have to be really, really attentive to catch everything.
So I find, yeah, I agree with that, but that's like special books. I think like but a lot of it is based on narrator quality. And I find
Mm-hmm.
these days a lot of the other books, the authors tend to read them themselves.
Okay,
So
I
it
see.
tends to be pretty good for the most part. If not, I think even some audiobooks, they'll be altered for the audio format. So they'll remove some of the stuff that was in the like typed book per se.
Oh, I see. Yeah, see that makes sense. Um, yeah,
And
the
one
the
more
other
thing I
no,
wanted to add.
yeah.
Uh,
Hmm.
so just in case like somebody's reading, like going for audiobooks, what I think is I listen that way, but whenever there's something important, I'll hit that
Hmm.
bookmark button so that,
Oh,
later I can come back and if I want to examine 2 minutes around there, I know where it is. And then later if I want to do a review, I can find all these bookmarks and then be like, okay, here. Even though I'll never do a
yeah.
review. Like I keep bookmarking though, as if
Yeah, it's just like, you highlight the notes and you just never come back to it. But yeah, that's actually a good thing. Now too, sometimes you lose your place in an audiobook. You can go back because this happens too when you're reading and you lose your just for whatever reason, you just lose your place, right? Your attention shifts onto something else and then
Yeah,
you have to come back, right? And when you come back, it's very easy with
yeah,
a book because you can just like flip a couple of pages back, go a couple of paragraphs back, go a sentence back and stuff. With an audiobook, I guess now they have that like rewind by 10 seconds or something,
yeah,
right? That
10
you
or
can
30,
just
yeah.
yeah, and then you can just go back and listen. Yeah, I mean
But if you
ultimately
have
it's
the
just
bookmarks, it's so easy
yeah,
though. Because it'll
yeah,
take
you
you
can
right
just
to the
copy.
thing. And actually,
Yeah.
sometimes I use those bookmarks and I add notes. Like it's rare.
Wow.
It's rare.
It's happened twice. And all
Yeah.
the time. Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, ultimately it comes down to, why go through a book? And yeah, the way I see it is just just another pastime, really. Um, for me to
Bro,
read. uh,
yeah. I think like I'm just interested in the stuff that's in them. Like what else is there?
Yeah,
Like
yeah. Actually, it doesn't need to be anything more than that. It's just like, yeah, I just like what's written in the book. I'm just
if
gonna
I
read
didn't
it.
want to do it, I wouldn't do
I
it.
wouldn't
Like
do it.
nobody's
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly, exactly. Yeah, for a while I really tried to develop this habit of reading, for various reasons. But now I've settled into a routine and rhythm with it. Yeah, I like one of the big gets was actually getting a Kindle and just doing an ebook
Yeah.
reader or an e-reader
Hmm.
with e-ink. And it's quite good. You can just blast through books. You can look up the definition. It's
Yeah.
great. And one drawback that I found with the Kindle anyway, at least the version I have, is that it doesn't have voice. So you cannot actually hear the pronunciation of a word.
Oh, okay.
But
Mm.
there is a fix. It's they have the thing called the IPA. So if you know how to read IPA, then so IPA is
Hmm.
like the phonetic language. So how the
Okay.
word is pronounced. They
Yeah.
have certain letters. So
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
know how
yeah.
to read IPA, then you can understand the pronunciation of the word without
Do you
really
care about
needing
the
some.
pronunciation?
Mm,
Like
like
what word did you learn that you had for some pronunciation for?
So, for example, yeah, so the word spelled Chivvy, and
Okay, let
is
me
it
let me attempt. Let me
chivvy?
attempt. Let me attempt.
Okay, okay, attempt,
I
go
would
for it.
say it's just chibi.
Yeah, is it chivvy or chivy? You know?
Context.
Okay, I'll give you a sentence. Okay. Um, sentence. He kept putting off writing the report, so I had to chivv him along.
Chibi.
Vvy him along. Chivy
Chibi.
or chivy?
Chibi.
Yeah, it is chivy. And when you read, you're like, is it chi or chai chair? It's is it cha? Yeah. Anyway, um, yeah. And then if you not read the IPA, it's good. But then again, I always have my phone handy, so I can just look
Yeah.
up.
like anyone else doesn't.
Yeah, like anyone else does. You don't really need to.
I'm a unique person.
Yeah. It's I looked at the pronunciation and I had to, when I was asking you, I had to look it up again. And that's what I was doing on my side monitor here. Yeah, none of these things really some for a word to stick in your head,
For
apparently you
me,
need to have seen it many times. Go on.
yeah, that makes sense. I'm just so shameless with pronunciation. I just don't care. I'll just attempt it. I don't care if it's wrong because if it's wrong, you'll correct me and then I'll know what the right version is. But I'm not gonna
Yes.
learn it like
Yeah,
in
yeah,
terms
yeah.
of doing research.
No, and
That type
ultimately,
of
like
thing
pronunciation is a
doesn't
very,
matter.
different people, and yeah, ultimately it doesn't
If
matter
you can
because
spell it, you can get your point across.
yeah, exactly. And really, the whole point of communication is so that the person you're communicating with understands what it is that you're saying. That's
Exactly.
really the point of it, right? Like, so that,
Well, here's
yeah.
an interesting thing.
Hmm.
Communication. Actually, the largest percentage of communication is actually just nonverbal. It's not even words and
Yes,
stuff.
yes, it's like a,
So,
a big, yeah, like
like
what
80% something.
yeah,
Something
I was
crazy.
gonna,
Something
yeah,
crazy.
it's something crazy. But I mean, yeah, 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 they mean in like day-to-day conversation and stuff. Really, the body language says a
Hmm.
lot. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely,
Oh, based
absolutely.
off what you said, you know how like you read, you're basically saying the words in your head, right? So I
Hmm.
remember
Hmm.
like when I was trying to learn how to learn like about like these techniques or speed reading and all that stuff.
Hmm.
What they do is like they don't even say the words in their head. Like they just
Yeah.
somehow process the thing, or they turn the words into images, and they're really
Yes.
just reading images. Um,
Yes.
so
Yeah. I mainly read for. I'm not interested in speed reading. I'm not here to just get through books for the. I actually just like to enjoy. In fact, even in this book, The Pleasures of Reading in an Age
but
of Distraction, the guy says, "You're almost reading too fast." He's like, "Slow it
yeah.
down." Just He's like, "Slow it down. Don't just try
Point five
and
x.
yeah, man." He's like, honestly, 0.5x. He's like, it's almost a guarantee that you're reading too fast. He's like, slow it down. And I said, wow, that actually makes a lot of sense. So I'm deliberately trying to slow down the rate at which I read instead of trying to speed it up. Really get the nuance and just like
Yeah.
understand even yeah, that's that phonetic loop is what you're talking about. It's like when you read a word and a voice goes in your head, and from that
Yeah.
voice comes the understanding. And the theory with
Hmm.
speed reading is like you bypass that process. You see the
Hmm.
set of words as they are, and that immediately a
Exactly.
picture pops into your head. And
Exactly.
and also you reduce your saccadic whatever eye movements that jump. So
Yeah.
when your eye reads, it doesn't just read like this, it reads like this. So it
Yeah.
jumps from word to word and it skips. So what they say is then you just put it all on like one computer screen and you just flash the words just there, and then you
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
focus
Yeah.
on
I've seen
that,
that.
and
I've
then
done
you
that.
can
Yeah.
and then you can read like 70 books in 3 minutes.
But how many can you remember in 3 minutes?
Zero. Yeah. Yeah. I don't really know how much I even buy into speed reading as a thing. Um,
Mm,
it might be
I think
possible. I mean, hmm,
yeah, I think it I like for me I think it works. But
mhm,
like I don't
mhm,
know to what extent. Like I think it's really you're training yourself. If you train
mhm.
yourself, you will do better at the thing that you train. So it
Of
works.
course. Yeah. You
Like,
will. Yeah. It always to me seems like it's a trade-off between comprehension and speed. It's
exactly.
almost always like the faster you read, you take a hit on comprehension. And there's a time and a place for this. So I used to
Hmm.
coach some people for all these medical exams.
Hmm.
because I, and I broke it down. I devised a strategy for like passing these standardized exams. Not just passing, but doing
Hmm.
quite well on them. And,
Hmm.
um, anyway, part of the strategy is when I tell people to read a book, the first time through the book is a skim, where you just kind of get through the whole
Oh yeah.
book
Yeah,
in,
yeah,
in 10 minutes. You read the whole book in 10 minutes.
yeah.
Now, this clearly you're like no one is reading shit in 10 minutes, right? That's you're not. But
But
what you
yeah,
yeah,
you can get a lot in 10 minutes.
exactly. In 10 minutes what you will get is like you will get a structure of the book. You will know like generally what the size of each section is, how many important things are there in each section, how many diagrams are there, what is
Hmm.
what is heavy. You can get a lot in 10 minutes. And I'd say like yes, but did you comprehend any of the text or the nuance between the first line in this paragraph and how it ties to the next paragraph? No. That is clearly not going to happen in a 10-minute skim of the book, right? For
Yeah.
that, it's almost just like you have to read that first paragraph nicely, slowly, read the second paragraph nicely, slowly, go back to the first
Hmm.
paragraph, read it again, put everything down and think. Think about
Yeah.
what you just read. so, so I see it as like a clear trade-off between comprehension and like reading speed per se. Yeah, I
Hmm.
used to be very like drawn to the, very enamored by this idea of like, okay, I want to just read many books very fast. Now I'm just reading to really just sometimes when I was reading Harry Potter even, I would just like put the book down and just like live
Think.
live in the yeah. And then just go back and like reread that paragraph again. Yeah.
Oh, that's
I
nice.
mean, yeah, it's quite disheartening though when you think about it because you can only read so many books. Let's just say
Yeah.
at most someone reads what 200 books a year. Like even that is starting to get
Very
kind of
few. What are you talking about, bro? If a person reads like 50 books in a year, that's impressive.
yes.
You know,
So
like 200 is not normal
it's not even
by any
yeah. So
means.
let's just say, the most realistically someone can read in a year is 200 books. And let's say that, you start reading 200 books a year from the time, let's just say 30, you're both about around 30, you're
Hmm.
30, and let's just say you live till, optimistically speaking, 100. And so you live for
Hmm.
70 years and you read 200 books a year. Really, that's only like 14,000 books you get to read if you
Okay.
dedicate a
A lot of time.
vast oh my goodness, right, to read 200 books a year, it means like you're spending like 6 hours a day reading.
Yeah.
Six
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
you're
Well, and you know what
you're
would suck? If you get
hmm.
dementia. If you get something like
It's all gone. Yeah, it's so, on one hand it's just like reading is quite good, but I don't think it is the optimal way to for knowledge acquisition. i think
Mm,
I think there's other ways to acquire knowledge. I think one of the big ways to acquire, well, I mean, knowledge to what end? Do you want to gain
yeah.
knowledge just to, for what? I mean, ultimately, you would use the knowledge to do something. But then,
Yeah.
really, a
I've
great
read
way
a
to,
lot that I haven't utilized, like
yeah,
98%, most likely. Maybe 99 actually,
yeah,
realistically, because I've read a
no,
lot.
yeah. So like really, if you're reading for knowledge, then really it comes down to using that knowledge, and probably a better way to to gain skills in that domain would be to well go and practice that domain. So for example, if it's about communicating with people, yes, you can read like 100 books on communication, but ultimately, you have to go and communicate with someone
Yes.
to, to
Yes.
to develop the skill, right? So it doesn't,
I
yeah,
mean, well, think
so
about how many people read books on probably weight loss or exercise or motivation for weight loss, exercise, and never will do any of that,
yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly, right? Like reading books. So that's why, reading books is a way to acquire knowledge. Yes, it's one part of the thing. But for knowledge, actually, to say that I'm going to read books just to acquire knowledge, I think there's other probably
Bro,
more efficient ways of doing it.
I don't even think that's true, bro, to be honest, because I'm like, if you're just reading the books, right,
Hmm.
and I ask you what happened in this book, or
Yeah.
this or that, and you can't tell me anything about it, really, then why did you even read the book? Like, I could read
Time
the
passed.
summary in 5 minutes, and I
Yeah.
will actually know more than you. And I will
Yes.
remember it because there's not much to remember for me.
Yeah, exactly. You just glance at something, you're like, great. That's exactly it. So yeah, I just see it as a very fun kind of pastime more than anything else. It's not really for, which is why I have made the leap and just started to read fiction. The best.
Fiction. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I would say the one other thing though is even if we weren't reading, well, I know me especially because had a lot of screen time
Hmm.
in terms of just either being on my phone or my computer.
Hmm.
I'm still
Hmm.
reading stuff when I'm not reading books. Like I'm still reading a
Yeah.
lot. Like it's
Yeah.
a stupid amount.
Exactly. Yeah. 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 Like if you're on Reddit, you're still reading. You know.
Reddit is nothing but reading.
Yeah. Now Reddit is just reading, and
And
cat
I'm reading
cat gifs.
exactly.
Yeah. Um,
So
yeah.
I don't know. I think there's many forms, right? Like the way you can get information, knowledge. You can have podcasts, you can have books, you can have YouTube videos, blogs, whatever works for you. The only thing I
Yeah.
like with the
Exactly.
book though is if you really want to know a field or get some insight into it, like I just feel that if somebody dedicated like 6 months, a year, or 3 years to producing this thing,
Hmm.
then that is valuable. Like because
Yeah.
there's no like blog post you're gonna read
Mm-mm.
that's gonna be better than that.
Yeah. 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 Like work that's edited that someone has put a lot of time into writing and
Yeah,
gotten a lot of feedback, and there's been a lot of research or there was a lot of research that went into it. Not saying
yeah,
such a thing is not possible with a blog post, but it's definitely more common with a book than with a blog post.
yeah,
The
exactly.
Well, one thing I really like about reading books is that it keeps me on track to just reading. I feel that my ability to focus gets better the more I read.
Hmm, that makes sense. I feel like I
Yeah.
have no focus, so I can't read physical books.
What came
Like I'll
first?
have, well,
That's-
man, let me. No, I was reading, but like now, like most of my books would be either on drives or walks, so
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I
it's
see. Yeah. Audiobooks. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's like that. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
if I were reading physical books, my focus would increase because I'd be doing something I don't want to do. I'm training myself to do that, of course.
I read this book actually. What was it called? I have it here. It's called I don't have social media except for Goodreads. Goodreads is my social media. I, I read this book called The Power of Concentration by Theron Q. Dumont. Anyway, this guy talks about how concentration is the key to success. He's like, you look at successful people, more often than not. Well, I think he just goes out and says all the time, not more often than not. He's like, you will find that they have remarkable powers of concentration. And you look at unsuccessful people, and you will find the opposite.
Hmm.
And then he gives various practices in his book on how to develop concentration. And one of the practices, he gives many. One of them was just like,
Okay.
just look at a door handle. Just look at it. Don't
Yeah.
don't let your attention waver or wander to anything else. Just focus on the door handle.
Mm,
It's like, okay,
okay.
that's a little bit mundane, if you will, and boring. It's kind of like the Buddhist and all these, meditation things where they say
That's
focus
what I
on the
was
breath.
thinking. It's
It's the,
exactly what I was thinking. It's just a focal point, so you're
yeah,
getting
exactly.
back to neutral or whatever.
A meditation object, so to say. Something that you do not want to focus on, but you're like, no, I will focus on this.
Yeah. Well, I had another a technique that I remember reading one time that I thought was interesting is like if you're like have to clean or your desk is a mess or something, just spend 5 minutes or not even 5 minutes. It might be 2 minutes or a minute, and just visualize it being clean
Hmm.
or like being the task being done, and
Hmm.
then it'll somehow make you do it. I don't know. I'm a
Uh,
very resistant, treatment resistant person, so
yeah, 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 yeah.
I don't even visualize. I just close my eyes.
And hope. Don't even hope. Just nothing.
I am not
No.
here. This
There's no
problem doesn't
problem.
exist. If I don't
Yeah.
exist, then I can't have problems.
Yeah, and apparently you don't exist. Whatever any of those
Uh,
things mean. Yeah.
exactly.
Anyway, it's so yeah, so I like I find that about, I think the last time we talked I said this too, like after about an hour, I kind of feel
Yeah.
like that's when I hit my
Yeah.
mental cap.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's good, but I can't see the time. Are we at like what
Oh,
time is it?
it
Because
is
I can only see the
5:02.
recording time. Oh,
Oh,
okay,
I
that's
see.
perfect then.
It's 5:02. Yeah, so let's just stop this recording
Yeah, yeah,
and
this
just
is
chat for a
perfect. It
little
was a
bit.
good amount of
Yeah.
time.
A
Okay,
good amount of
I'll
time.
stop the recording.
Yeah.